Welcome to Shaping Freedom with Lisane Basquiat, the podcast where we help you unlock your potential and redefine what it means to be free. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. I'm a former corporate executive, a life strategist, and the founder of Shaping Freedom. With a background spanning corporate, artistic, and personal development, I bring a unique perspective to empowering others. Listen in to discover inspiring stories and practical insights that will help you reclaim your life and rewrite your narrative. My intention is for you to gain the tools and motivation to be free in your relationships, your communities, and within yourself. This, my friends, is Shaping Freedom. My friends, thank you so much for your time, your energy, and for choosing to spend time with me and my guests on the Shaping Freedom with Lisane Basquiat podcast. I appreciate you so much, and I am so grateful and feel so good about where we are and about what's to come in the new year. This is the last episode of the year. I think that this will be episode number 75, I believe. And this particular episode is for all of you who have shown up for yourselves and for your families this year, even when it was hard, even when you were done and tired, and most of all, for what you've managed to do, even when no one else saw you or heard you. This episode is for you. So, one of the things that I do every year is I take as much of the last 2 weeks of the year as I possibly can to reflect on the year, to reflect on how I showed up, to reflect on what I encountered. And what I'm doing this particular episode is I'd love to share some of that with you. This episode is going to include some reflection. I'll share some of my favorite gems from the year, and I'll just kind of pop these in randomly as the episode plays. And at the end, I will share a short guided meditation for you that you can use whenever it works for you. And that is a way of helping you to reflect on the year and helping to prepare you for the year to come. I'll also share some food for thought that you can carry into the new year. And then I will end with a special call to action to help you to prepare for your next year. So without any further ado, let's get into it. I encourage you to get something to jot down some ideas and some thoughts, because I'm going to be asking you some questions for reflection. So I think that a great way for you to listen to and experience this episode would be to find a quiet place, find a quiet place, find a quiet moment, and a place where you aren't disturbed, and carve out some time for yourself to reflect on your own personal journey, to reflect on everything that you've had to do, every part of your being that had to show up in order for you to get to the end of 2024. So as we get started, this isn't the meditation part, but I do encourage you to move yourself into a meditative state. And let's do that now. What that looks like is find someplace super comfortable to put yourself, get yourself a way of capturing your thoughts, and just take a few moments to center yourself, to connect to yourself, to connect to your voice. Take a couple of deep breaths to help you to do that. And let's start off reflecting on this year of 2024. And I encourage you to, instead of searching or looking hard for an answer, I encourage you to allow the answers to these questions to come up from within. What did 2024 teach you about yourself? Where did you grow the most? In what area of your life or in what circumstance did you learn the most about yourself and grow the most? What surprised you about your strength, about how resilient you are, or about your capacity to embrace and receive joy and fun? And what are you most proud of, even if it's something that no one else knows anything about? Where are you feeling the most proud of how you showed up in 2024? If there was a word that you could use to describe 2024, what would it be? So, before we move on to a meditation, I want to share a couple of thoughts about the guests that I had conversations with this year. There are some topics that we covered, topics around men and women and the relationships that we're in with each other and how we show up for each other and the ways that we really would benefit from bridging the gap between us. I had the opportunity and the honor of being able to speak with thought leaders about how to take back your power and honor your right to choose where you're going to invest your flame. Guess what? It's your flame. Invest it however you see fit. Invest it into the things that feed your soul and that stoke your flame. And those things that diminish your flame or put your flame out, you have every right to let those things go or reposition them to someplace that is better suited for it. But you have every right to curate your life and live your life in the way that feels right for you. We also talked about the importance of being seen for all of who you are. And I spoke specifically about this in a conversation with Patrice Colors about being seen for all of who you are, and most of all, to see yourself. There is so much amazing beauty in the individual that you are. You were created to be amazing. You were created to learn how to love. You were created to learn how to curate your life with the goal and aim of joy. And that's okay. There were so many of us, including myself, who were not raised or programmed to see joy as the most important thing. You know, so many of us were raised to be about hard work. And that is so important. Absolutely. You know, hard work is going to help us to get to where it is that we're going. And at the same time, I think it's important to allow joy to guide your steps, to allow the pursuit of joy and inner peace and inner authenticity to guide the decisions that you make as you choose your path forward.
One thing that I have been very adamant about is for people to see me as a full human being, to see me for all the parts of me. As a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, as an artist, as a mom, as someone who's done a lot of healing work, someone who's deeply wounded. There's all these parts of me that I want to be seen.
I feel that. That is beautiful.
Thank
That's
you.
beautiful to be seen,
Yeah, for all that I am.
seen for all that you are. And I think that that is not to be seen for what you've done in the past or
Hmm.
what people expect, but to be seen in the complexity, the beautiful fabric of who you are and what you are, you know, and how you are.
Yeah.
if we're going to repair our families, if we're going to integrate more and higher quality emotional and mental well-being, we have to do it in concert and in communication with men. And one of the reasons why I get so excited about interviewing men is because, for example, I own Hera Hub Carlsbad.
Yes.
And it's a female focused space.
Yes.
And I live in San Diego. And San Diego is the heaven of women. There are a lot of women in San Diego, right? And I get that. And I think that we as women, and I know that women need safe spaces to grow, to talk, to heal, to be in community. And you don't heal when you turn your back on the conversations that need to happen. It's about both, and it's about inclusivity. And it's about, I have seen the most profound healing moments take place in a room where women felt very comfortable talking about the issues that were happening in their lives. And then a man enters the room.
I've seen, of course.
And the conversation shuts down.
Yes.
And what I have enjoyed in the work that I do with groups of people is creating a bridge between the two. Because when we sit down and listen to a man who may not be our man or our brother or our father, but the voice of a man, it gives us the opportunity to ask the questions that we want to ask about the ways that we don't relate to each other in a healthy way. It is almost impossible for us to feel truly fulfilled, truly filled up, truly in alignment with who we are when you are walking a path that belongs to someone else, that really has nothing to do with you. You've just been dragged into someone else's story, someone else's belief that you're supposed to be the first person to X, or you should be doing this thing because that other person didn't get a chance to do it. It's not over till it's over. That person, go to school. If you always want to go to college, how's this? You go and let this other person do, what is right for them. Even if it could be the same thing, but the ability to choose in a world where we are so, specifically now speaking to Black women, in a world where we are so neglected by other people, by ourselves, by society, by, the way, the patriarchy, choose, that's how you take back your power.
And choose yourself.
Yes.
And choose yourself. And it doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, 60. The point of power is when you choose yourself and commit to that choice.
My biggest takeaways are how important it is to remove the expectations that others have for us. And most importantly, to remove the expectations that we sometimes put upon ourselves. I also really leaned into understanding how by removing those expectations, we allow creativity and art into even how we prepare for the future. What I also got is how important it is to see others and to see ourselves as full human beings, people who are parents and entrepreneurs and mentors and community members and citizens and brothers and sisters and friends. It's so important for us to see ourselves in our full humanity so that we can contribute and more fully to the world around us. My father was Haitian and my mother was Puerto Rican, and the first generation experience is a very different one. And it's interesting, we've never had this conversation, but I share the same thought and belief, actually, that, this experience of being different actually helped me because it helped me to see the world in a broader way, where I'm able to look at people, at who the people are first. And I'm also able to see and feel the energy of different places because I was put into so many situations that felt so unfamiliar and where I've had some sense of uncertainty. So I think sometimes we look for, the most comfortable of situations when in fact there is so much to learn when we're put into spaces that maybe aren't exactly the way we would imagine them to be. you
Exactly,
know?
exactly. And having been forced as when we were younger into these uncomfortable situations.
Exactly.
Now, when you find as an adult that you're feeling stuck, we have this awareness that it's that discomfort is a precursor to evolution and growth.
Do you know that we have a line of Shaping Freedom wellness products? Each are beautifully crafted and designed to support you in cherishing your mind, body, emotions, and soul. Carve out a sanctuary in your life with our Luxe sustainable yoga and meditation mats, essential oil candles, and more. Embrace self-care and reflection with every item, lovingly created to enhance your daily practice of spending time on you. Elevate your wellness journey with Shaping Sanctuary Collection because you deserve to feel balanced, nurtured, and inspired. Visit shapingsanctuary.com for more information. We also talked about embracing your humanity. That's one of the things that we very often are told the opposite to do. We're told that the reward is in negating your humanity, pushing yourself past the point that makes sense for yourself, or to choose your to-do list over taking care of yourself. I encourage you to understand that sometimes doing nothing is your to-do. That's the best thing that you can possibly do, because when you do that, and when you allow time for yourself, it gives you even more energy, more creativity, and more of an ability to do things and create for yourself the joy that you so want to experience. We also talked about the trauma pileup. In my conversation with Abby Kamen, she talked about a trauma pileup and how painful this moment is in humanity. And I absolutely agree with that. It is a painful moment. There's so much happening politically and, in society and in our culture and all of that. And unless we clean things up and release things and forgive and reflect and spend some time in meditation, that is what happens. The trauma, the frustration, the challenges continue to pile up and start to feel insurmountable. But when we make a concerted effort to release on a regular basis, to forgive, to be in reflection, to journal, to pray, to spend a moment listening to our own voice, it helps us to not have that pile up that so many of us hit the wall with. So I encourage you to find ways to do that. One great way, and this is a shameless plug, is to join the Lounging with Lisane moments that we have where we take a moment on a weekly basis to reflect and to meditate. Um, Abby also spoke about, or I think in our conversation, we talked about the fact that we are content creators every day. And sometimes content creators are sharing that content through social media. But I have news for you. We are creating content every single day. The content that we create makes up the thread that pulls together the fabric of our lives. So once we become more aware of that and are willing to acknowledge that, then it helps us to put ourselves into the driver's seat and to put ourselves at cause for our lives versus being in effect. Then I had a conversation with Robert about the power of rest, how important it is to rest. And that's really what I'm encouraging you to do through this episode.
As you said it with some sincerity, I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I'm a visionary, a mother, a creator, a member of community, and somebody who desperately wants to feel better.
Wow. I think that, again, that is something that many of us are striving for. It's one of the things that so many of us kind of get up every day and it's like, I just want to feel better and I want the world to help me to feel better.
Right? And we see it in so much pain. It's such a painful moment for humanity. And I think we want to think that it was better in other times. And the reality is we're going to get to create those times. It hasn't happened yet. That's what the trauma pileup is all about. The trauma and all the worst of times has got us to this very monumental place that we are at, where the trauma is just in a pileup. It's seeping out through absolutely everything we do. And so how do we source hope in that trauma pileup? And I think that's what we have come yet to create. And you kind of use the same line. We are the creators of our future. We're the content creators. We get to say what it's going to look like.
One of the things that I wanted to make sure I don't forget to mention to you is the model that you are for getting back to this idea of like creative and wellness, the model that you are for expending energy, creating something, and talking specifically about this undisputed event that you put on a few weeks ago. And one of the things that I remarked about both to myself and also mentioned to my team was how you exerted all this energy to create this event. You did all the hard work, you did it, right? And then you said, we did it, it was great. I'm going to be off the grid for a couple of days while I go and recharge and fill myself back up. Mm-hmm. And then I proceeded to see your toes in the sand on Instagram. And I thought, yeah, he actually did that. Yeah. And I love that you're first of all living and modeling what it is that you're talking about in practice. And I also appreciated for myself, it was a lesson for myself about giving yourself a moment in between the big things so that you can recuperate. You cannot be in judgment of other people and strip them of their humanity without stripping yourself of the same. So we literally have, and I'm not even talking about beyond this country, although I know there are people who listen. In this country, I'll speak about, we have a country of people who need the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing, to help them to remember who the heck they are and why they're here, so that that noise gets diminished to the point where you can actually be in communication with the relationship you're in with yourself and also with your creator. So you can have those conversations, so you can cry out and hear the answer. I'm so inspired by you, sir. You know, for me, one of the things that I learned about myself this year is that I can trust myself. I went into this year thinking that my year was going to be a year of reflection and that I was going to spend a lot of time writing and contemplating. I was going to spend time in recovery from the challenges that I faced over the few years before, and that I was going to spend time kind of making up for how hard I worked and everything that I was able to get done. And what happened instead was this year was like a rocket for me. I feel like I just picked up my head at the beginning of January, and here I am at the end of the year. And I got a lot accomplished, but it was very different from what I expected that it would be. What I learned about myself is that I can trust myself. Where I grew the most was in my willingness to have faith in the processes of life, and faith in myself and in God, that God continues to have my back, continues to guide, inspire, and encourage me. What surprised me most about myself was that I was able to choose myself in the moments where I really needed to. What also surprised me about myself, or actually what I'm most proud of this year, is how I showed up as a mother. This was a very interesting year within my family, and there was a lot of growth and a lot of challenging situations that needed to be navigated. And I feel very proud of the relationship that I have with my children and with the authenticity with which I parent my children and grandparent my grandchildren. I also am very happy about the ability that I had to be consistent. That was one of the things that I really wanted to do, one of the things that I hadn't done. And I'm talking specifically about Shaping Freedom now. Shaping Freedom is very important to me. It's a project that is near and dear to my heart. And yet it had been so challenging for me in the past to be able to be consistent about it. And so this year, one of the biggest lessons for me and one of the biggest challenges was to be consistent about the podcast, to develop consistency around lounging with Lisane and about um, just showing up for myself in this very important project. I want to speak also about the collective exhaustion and challenges that so many of us have faced in 2024. I don't know what it was about this year, but it turned so many of us, including me, on our heads. I want to acknowledge that so many of us are closing this year feeling tired and overwhelmed. And it's okay to feel this way no matter what you do in your life, whether it's being of service and in service to other people, to your family, or through your work, or whether it is just showing up for yourself, it's okay to be tired. It's okay to feel the result of having done that hard work, especially for those folks who are in service to other people. So if this year, 2024, stretched you in ways that you didn't quite expect, I want you to know that sometimes our biggest growth happens when we're uncomfortable. Every single experience that you've had, whether it's good or hard, or those moments where you were like, I don't know what the hell's going on or what I'm going to do, each one of those has shaped you for what's to come next year. We also talked a bit about the messages that men get about ignoring their humanity. Um, Antonio Neves shared the concept of emotional constipation and what you can do to relieve that. And he was talking to men in that conversation, but that's true for all of us. We also talked about embracing emotional strength and the importance of setting values with Raquel Martin. So I encourage you to take these clips as inspiration for you as you start to contemplate and curate what you want and what you envision for yourself in 2025. And then after that, we'll come back with a meditation.
Now, we talked about emotions earlier, all those things that may be inside that emotional constipation, that tea kettle.
Mm-hmm.
I challenge folks to go for a 30-minute walk with zero technology.
Love that.
No iWatch, no phone, no notification, no dings, no listening to podcasts, no listening to music. I give this assignment to people and they're like, why are you wasting my time with this 30-minute walk? And they will come back to me and hopefully they can do it in nature, somewhere where they're not going to be distracted. And they'll come back and say, that was one of the best and hardest things I ever did. I gave myself the gift of 30 minutes and people will say, that problem I was trying to solved it.
Just came up, just comes up.
It just came up. Someone will say, I had to turn down a quiet road because I just started crying out of the blue. Just emotion welled up, that constipation. People say they had crazy laughter. They remembered certain memories from their childhood because they finally gave themselves some space to breathe,
Right.
to fully be present with nature, to hear their feet on the ground. So I want to warn people to be prepared to have an amazing breakthrough, maybe get ready for some tears to show up, maybe some anger is going to show up. But I promise you, you're going to be so happy you spent those 30 minutes.
The encouragement to men, and Black men in particular, has been to be strong, to, not show your cards, to not cry, these things, these behaviors that really lead to helping them to shove things down and repress them and live in the duality of, everything's great when in fact they're imploding on the inside. And I think that the more that we at the ground level start to raise this as a topic and start having these conversations, not from the perspective of, shame, and pointing the finger, but really offering a way to choose an alternate path or to choose ways to release some of that energy that they have, some of that anger, that anxiety, and all of that. I think the more that we do that, the better things are going to be.
Yeah, I do the diaries every single day, and every hour I update, sort of what mood I'm in, or, I assign a color to how I'm feeling every single hour.
Wow, that's amazing.
Literally, yeah.
That's amazing. I'm thinking again about how, people can kind of sit in and wallow in and without judgment, but I've been there myself, where I kind of pick up my head and I'm thinking, wow, I'm in this place, this mood, this emotion. And I find it very therapeutic to step outside of something, to be able to look at something. Even like when I'm overwhelmed, the antidote for me is always to get it out of my head. Like it just starts there, no matter what the output is, no matter what the things are that I'm overwhelmed about. And typically they're so much less than what I thought they were when they were swimming around in my head, but it's that act of getting it out and putting it down and looking and saying, oh, wow, this is what's going on. Values, boundaries, and expression are three of the things that that are very interesting to me and things that I talk about quite a bit. And for me, it's really all about how those things feed into the ways that we spread and share within our family legacy, like what we're passing on. For someone who's wanting to understand what their values are, do you have a how for them? Like how does one do that? For someone who's listening, for someone who's like, I keep hearing this thing about values, but I don't really know what that means or how to identify mine. Can you do like a 3 or 5 stepper on how someone can do that?
Oh yeah, definitely. So one, if you Google like value card sort, it was this whole like document created by a psychologist, and it just has I know they're a licensed mental health professional, I don't know if they're psychologists, but it has a whole list of values, and I typically go through the card sort with my patients. If they're younger kiddos, I always incorporate art, so I'm not boring them to tears. So I let them color them, and then I'll laminate them, and it has things like integrity and creativity. It has things like money and accolades and wealth, stuff like that. Like just being honest about like, no, my goal is not to like work a lot. My goal is to accumulate a lot of money. And I'm going to do whatever allows me to do that, which some people may be like, oh my gosh, but some people will be like, well, that makes sense. Okay.
But isn't that important?
It's important to know.
Because you're in a relationship with someone and your value is wealth, is financial wealth, and their value is not that. And so it's important to know who you are. HeraHub Carlsbad is a co-working space and member community designed to empower entrepreneurs. More than just a workspace, HeraHub Carlsbad is a business accelerator and a connected network of successful entrepreneurs. Imagine a collaborative, serene, and spa-inspired environment where you can thrive. Our unique community allows each member to be both a guide and a student, fostering leadership and continuous growth for both you and your business. Experience an uplifting, supportive atmosphere that will elevate your entrepreneurial journey. For more information about HeraHub Carlsbad or to schedule a tour, visit herahub.com/Carlsbad. We also have locations in Temecula, Irvine, Washington, D.C., and Hera Hub Carlsbad is one of 3 Hera Hub locations in San Diego, the others being in Mission Valley and La Jolla. All right, so I'm hoping that you are still in somewhat of a meditative state and that you've been able to hear and listen both to the insights that I've shared and also the insights that my guests have shared. And that you've been able to hear that not just with your ears, but with your soul and your spirit, that you feel more inspired, that you feel encouraged. So let's get ourselves into a short meditation. And this is a meditation for release and also for gratitude. I encourage you again to stay. I hope that you're still in that quiet space that you were in. I'm hoping that you are breathing and that you're giving yourself a moment to take a few cleansing breaths, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through your mouth, releasing anything from 2024 that no longer serves you. I encourage you to allow your body to just be, to imagine that there is a beautiful ball of golden light appearing above your head, and that this beautiful ball of golden light is your space in the universe, the space that has been carved out specifically for you, the beautiful and magnificent creation of the Creator. I encourage you to sit for a moment in contemplation and in recognition of who you are. I imagine you allowing that beautiful golden ball of light to flicker above you, to activate above you. As you're breathing deeply in through your nose, out through your mouth, with every inhalation activating that beautiful ball of golden light above your head, with every exhale releasing anything that doesn't serve you, releasing anything that distracts you in this moment from seeing the beautiful being that you are. I encourage you to allow that beautiful ball of golden light as you begin to breathe normally. Allow it to release above you a beautiful rain shower of that golden light that represents everything that you were created to be. That golden shower of beautiful light, cleansing anything that no longer serves you. Imagine it falling upon your head, washing away any thoughts that no longer serve you. Anything from 2024, allowing it to be released. Imagine that beautiful shower of pure golden love and light falling over your shoulders, down your arms, washing away anything that blocks the energy in your throat, your voice. Imagining that it continues to wash over you, down your torso, your legs, your feet, releasing into the ground anything that no longer serves you, allowing it to be fresh fertilizer for Mother Earth. Mother Earth, who takes our waste, who takes what no longer serves us and turns it into something fresh and new. And as you just sit engulfed, loved by this beautiful universal light that is specifically for you, I encourage you to find your center and allow yourself to think about your wins this year, those areas where you grew the most. And I encourage you to allow yourself to celebrate those wins. No matter how big or how small, they're all important. Celebrate those moments where you said what you had to say. Celebrate those moments even when maybe you knew what you had to say, even if you didn't choose to say it. I encourage you to take this moment to celebrate those moments when you showed up for yourself, when you showed up for other people. Celebrate those moments where you chose to stand. Remember those moments where you honored yourself, where you honored what you said you were going to do. I encourage you to allow yourself to feel gratitude. Allow yourself to celebrate yourself. To be grateful for yourself. To feel gratitude for what you have experienced and who you've become over the course of 2024. Everything that you've had to do, each day, each hour, each moment of this year. And I encourage you to celebrate yourself and what you've done with love, with kindness, with patience, with the love, kindness, and patience that you know you've shown to other people. I encourage you to turn that kindness, that friendship onto yourself. And now I'm going to invite you to set an intention for 2025 from within this state of celebration, this state of inner calm, inner love, inner acceptance, this moment and space where you truly see yourself. I encourage you to allow the release of what you intend for 2025. What is your intention for 2025? And as you allow that intention to crystallize, I encourage you, while sitting in this beautiful, beautiful moment of love and connection to the universe, to God, to yourself, I encourage you to lock that intention in, continuing to breathe, continuing to sit in the beauty that is you, in your humanity. I invite you to thank yourself. to thank yourself and acknowledge yourself for taking a moment out of your day and your life to acknowledge and to give love to you, the you that shows up every day. I encourage you to thank yourself, to thank beautiful Mother Earth for always being here, for holding you and all of us up, for supporting us in the process, the very natural process of taking what no longer serves us and converting it into something new. I encourage you to thank your Creator for choosing you to walk this planet, to walk this lifetime as you. And when you're ready, begin to allow movement back into your toes, into your fingers. Maybe shake your head a little bit. And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, open your eyes. And I hope that as you open your eyes, you'd be willing to recognize that in opening your eyes, you are looking forward. What was to be done is done. Whatever you did, you did. Whatever they did, they did. And now the next step is to look forward, at the possibilities that are there, to look forward at where you want to go. Because that's how we move forward. We look forward. What happened in the past is done. So now I just want to offer you just a couple of words here of things that you can carry and think about in as you march toward or slide into the new year. First of all, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for listening. I want to thank you so much for the words, the DMs, the emails, the showing up. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the ways that you've supported this dream of mine, shaping freedom. I encourage you to own your progress. Give yourself credit for having shown up, no matter how imperfectly or perfectly you showed up. That's important. Rest is so productive. Make space in your life for rest, for recharge, to refuel your creativity. You don't need to earn it. You don't have to work yourself halfway to the bone in order to get it. I encourage you to give yourself 5 or 10 minutes a day to just sit down, get some sun, get some vitamin D, drink a lot of water, relax. It's all good. And for those of you, special note for those of you who are type A, and totally I understand it, I encourage you to learn how to type A differently. Type A without running yourself ragged. You don't get brownie points in heaven for running yourself ragged. Figure out what joy looks like for you. Make some time for what makes you feel alive. Joy is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Joy is the beautiful thing that you can allow to inform your choices, your decisions about how you live your life. They don't have to come from stress, my friends. Trust what's unfolding in your life. You don't have to know every single thing or every step of the way. Just contemplate the next right step for you. I'll tell you from experience that if you walk, the path will be built under your feet. And lastly, be gentle with yourself. Have compassion, have the same compassion for yourself that you do for so many other people. So the call to action that I promised you is to take some time to envision what you want for next year. I typically journal. I'll sit in meditation, similar to the meditation that we just did. I'll sit down with a cup of tea, a glass of wine, a cup of water, I don't know. And I'll just sit for a moment before I even write as I contemplate these questions. What energy do I want to bring into this next year? What fresh new energy am I wanting to bring into this next year? I encourage you to think about what you want for yourself next year in 2025. And then what do you want from yourself in 2025? More compassion, more energy, more joy, more community, more accomplishment. What do you want from yourself in 2025? And then the one that I love so much, what is one word or theme that you'll use to guide you next year? That one, it's important to allow it to come to you. You know, it's interesting. I've had some very interesting words of the year pop up for me over the years. And I did this exercise myself over this past weekend. And the one word that popped up for me, the question was, what is my word for 2025? And you'll never believe that this year, the word that popped up for me was Lisane. That has a lot of different meanings to it. And I'll share more about that as the year progresses. But that word felt completely right. So I encourage you to remember your power, remember your worth, remember your ability to shape your freedom. Freedom being your ability to live your life on your own terms and to be free of beliefs, thoughts, energy that holds you back from living a life that you truly love living. And I remind you that you are, in fact, the content creator of your own life. Do not forget that. You are the author of your story. And as we close out 2024, I encourage you to write your next chapter with intention, with love, with courage, with freedom. My friends, thank you so much for being here. A note of gratitude to my podcast guests, to you as listeners. Thank you so much again for being here. And let's walk into 2025 together, standing, marching, loving, and feeling free. Happy New Year, my friends.